Well, hi. Doing something a little different this time. I'm holding my phone, so bear with me as my light and my surroundings change. But I wanted to show you guys something. Look how beautiful. Oh my goodness. Aren't those colors so pretty? I just love having flowers. I love having fresh flowers. I love them being on my table, or right now they're on my fireplace. When I have them, sometimes I move them around to different places in my house. I might put them on my TV stand later. I don't know. We'll see. But I just love them. I think they're so pretty. And when I have them, I can think thoughts like, oh, it just makes the home feel so nice. And things like that. So, do you guys, who do you think bought me these flowers? What would you guess? If you guessed me, that I bought them for myself, then you are correct. So I used to kind of have a problem with buying myself flowers. Like, I felt like it was weird, like that's your spouse's job and things like that. And I never bought myself flowers. And then I find myself, okay, for a second, my husband does buy me flowers, and I so appreciate when he does. Um, but I had thoughts like, oh, I wish I had flowers more often. And so then I would sometimes find myself feeling like a little bit resentful of, husbands are supposed to do X, Y, and Z. What's your X, Y, and Z that you think your spouse is supposed to do? Sometimes we think like, oh, husbands are supposed to take out the trash. They're supposed to compliment me all the time. They're supposed to pitch in with the kids. They're supposed to help with household chores. We have a whole long list. And then Disney fairy tales and what we see on social media and all that just adds to our lists. But do you know why we want them to do any of those things? The only reason we want anything is so that we can feel a certain way and think certain thoughts. So if your spouse did buy you flowers, or did take out the trash, or did do any of the things on your list that you want them to do, what would you get to think and feel? So, for example, if my spouse bought me flowers, then maybe I would think, oh, they love me so much. They're thinking about me during the day. Oh, they really care about me. Things like that. You could think the same thing with any of those other options. Did you know that you can just choose to think and believe that anyways? And to feel loved and connected to your spouse without tying their actions to that thought? Because you are in charge of your thoughts, and you get to create whatever feeling you want based on those thoughts. Sometimes we think that the action has to come first, and then we give ourselves permission to think those thoughts. But do you know what's true? My husband loves me and thinks about me during the day and cares about me, whether he brings flowers home regularly or not. And I'm sure the same is true for your spouse. We all show our love in different ways. And we are kind of conditioned as a society that we need to tell our spouse how to show us love. I mean, we have love languages and all these things. And they're great for certain reasons or for information, but it becomes a problem when we use them to beat ourselves up or to think there's something wrong in our marriage, in our lives, because our spouse isn't conforming to what we think they should do, right? So what I want to offer you is that your spouse should behave however they behave. And it's your job to meet your own needs. And so that can look like buying yourself the flowers. It can look like telling yourself the compliments and the nice things that you wish your spouse would say to you. It can look like going out and getting yourself a nice meal. Basically the rule of thumb is like whatever you would want to be said or done to you, for you, just do it for yourself. It might sound kind of weird, but let's try it out for a second. So when we have these laundry lists of expectations of the way our spouses should behave, that is just a breeding ground for disappointment. I'm not saying you shouldn't have expectations and that you shouldn't communicate those, but when you hinge your happiness on how well another person follows your to-do list, or as we call it in coaching, your manual, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. And my goal in anything I offer you guys is to add as much empowerment to you as possible. So I don't want your happiness to be dependent upon how someone else shows up in your life. I want you to be able to create whatever feelings you want. And you don't have to wait on the people in your life to behave certain ways. Okay, so whenever we are meeting our own needs, when I'm taking care of myself, making myself a priority, making sure I have the things that I need and want, and am really caring for myself, then I get to show up in my marriage as a full version of me. I'm not, like lacking in some way or having like a need that I need my spouse to fulfill. And so if both partners are doing that in a marriage, instead of having two people that need the other person to behave in a certain way so they can believe that they're loved and that their marriage is good, instead if you have two people who are meeting their own needs, then you have two people that can come together and truly enjoy one another and enjoy the time with each other. So much more fun, so much more effective. You will truly enjoy that time so much better when you don't have all these expectations of, if they love me more, they would do this. One more thing I want to add to this, since we're talking about spouses and marriages. When our spouse doesn't do certain things, sometimes we allow the thought of, if they loved me more, they would do this. Or if they loved me more, they wouldn't do this, right? Have you ever thought that, like, if your spouse forgets to take out the trash or something, or if you need help with something and they're not doing that, have you ever found yourself thinking that? So what I want to pretty much promise you, which I laughed out loud whenever I had a coach tell me this, was your spouse doesn't walk by the trash can and be like, if I only loved my wife a little more, I would take out that trash. But you know what? I don't, so I'm not going to. Right? When we put it in like that kind of frame and that kind of light, it's like, of course that's not how it is. But because our brains are running the software of what's gone wrong here, what's the problem, that's what it likes to tell us. So we can just remind ourselves, that's not the case. What's more likely is that our spouse was maybe running late for work. Maybe they had a lot on their mind. I've also seen a commercial where this woman put on these man glasses and she looked at her overflowing trash can and it miraculously looked empty. And so that's just a silly example, but who knows? Who knows what's going on in their mind? But I promise it's most likely not, oh, if I only loved them more, I would do this. So I just think that is such a beneficial way to think about marriage, a beneficial way to think about caring for yourself. We all know that it can be kind of difficult to make ourselves happy sometimes. So expecting another human who also has a difficult time making themselves happy to then complete us and make us feel happy all the time, that is not super effective. It takes our power away. It puts us at the mercy and our happiness at the mercy of someone else. And we don't have to do that. You have permission, you have the ability to meet your own needs. And once you start doing that, you will get to show up as the spouse you want to be in your marriage more often. So I hope you remember this and can use it in your life, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.